Good afternoon from California, and thank you for the opportunity to share a few thoughts with you as you consider your Stadium 2020 agenda. The three areas I want to focus on briefly are the physical experience for the spectator at the stadium, the digital experience for the fan or the spectator, and the visual technology that we'll be putting into stadiums going forward. In terms of the physical experience, what we're certainly seeing in stadiums in North America and across Europe is a shift towards premium seating experiences for everyone, not just for a few. So we're seeing a shift towards smaller stadiums, less seats, better seats, more services, a greater level of comfort. At the end of the day, what I think stadium owners and teams that have access to stadiums are thinking about is how to create an environment at the stadium that's better than being at home. At the end of the day, we need to recognize that we're competing with a very comfortable couch at home in the lounge with a beer nearby and a fridge and a bunch of friends tailgating at home. And so the experience in the stadium needs to be not just as good as that, but better than that. And so we need to think about the socialization opportunities, the camaraderie opportunities, the exclusive access to experiences or athletes or memories that we can create in a stadium that you cannot get at home. So I think that's the one core theme that challenges us in terms of the environment that we create at the stadium. Part of that is taking away all those things that are hindrances, that are hurdles to consuming sport at the stadium, the things that we complain about, the hygiene factors. We certainly need to take care of those, but we certainly need to focus on enhancing the experience. The second theme that I would encourage you to reflect on is the digital experience. We've certainly seen a proliferation of stadium-based applications, mobile-based apps, many of these using location-based services in order to provide exclusive access and services to those who connect to the stadium-specific Wi-Fi or network at the time of attending the game. And so part of providing this special access, this additional value in actually coming to the stadium is thinking, for example, about exclusive content. So using location-based services in the way that the San Francisco Giants, for example, are doing right now, is thinking about what are those camera angles, what are those exclusive replays, what are those opportunities for broadcast level quality exclusive content that's delivered on mobile, but only to those mobile devices that are connected to the stadium network and only those that are in the stadium at that time. And so using multiple different technologies to really add value to the fan when they're in the stadium, and recognizing they're going to be on their phones, especially millennial fans are increasingly attached to their phones. And so how do we use that to provide additional value when they're there? We've seen, for example, with the 49ers, the NFL team here in Levi Stadium in Silicon Valley, a shift towards using an app for seat-based delivery of concessions. And so you're able to order for yourself or for your friends or for your fellow season ticket holder. You're able to order your concessions, and that is delivered directly to you and paid for via the app. So part of that is about enhancing the value. Part of that is also taking away some of the negatives of having to stand in queues, get out of your seat, miss some of the action, and have to head to a concourse. And so we're seeing the role of the digital experience really enhancing the reason for coming out to the game. Another aspect of the digital experience that I think we'll see more and more is blended reality. And so, we know in the US there's data points for everything in sport, and I think that's increasingly going global. And so the opportunity for a blended reality experience, again, via a mobile device, where you hold up the device, and as you're looking at the game, perhaps through the device, you're seeing multiple levels of data overlaying the real life experience. And so, for example, as you're watching A.B. de Villiers, perhaps in India on his 100th test, you may get a number of data points about A.B. de Villiers and his performances historically overlaid as he's doing what he's doing on the field. Or as Kagiso Rabala runs up to bowl, there may be specific data points, again, attached perhaps to wearables and information that we're gathering from the athlete in real time. And that information is then captured on your essential personal viewing device in the stadium. Some might say, well, this really detracts from viewing the action down on the field, but recognize that increasingly our sport fans are multi-screen, in a multi-screen environment, and they wish to consume the sport in a multi-screen environment. So the first theme is really around the physical experience. The second theme is around the digital experience. The third theme I want to leave you with this afternoon is around the visual technology. And our friends at Supersport and SABC and ETV and others I know are working hard, along with some of their global colleagues, to think a little bit about additional cameras and additional camera technology in stadiums. So I think some of the things we want to look at there are the use of drones and what kind of regulations will be in place to allow drones for camera purposes and others in stadiums, and understanding how that might work from a legal and regulatory point of view. But certainly the kind of shots that you're able to get, and again, how you deploy that either at home or in the stadium is going to be really interesting. Camera angles for specific athletes, where you're able to follow your specific quarterback or your specific striker or your specific batsman or fielder at that time, and so having additional camera points and additional camera angles. And then I think an interesting one is what we've seen with RefCam and the GoPro type wearable cameras, getting you right into the action and seeing the action from the athlete or the referee or the umpire's point of view. And so I think there's a number of things around camera technology and visual technology that will enhance the stadium experience. Again, whether you're coming through to the stadium, which is really the first prize, or for the millions around the world that will be tuning in on whatever device they wish to watch the broadcast. Some of the other interesting things I think in the visual technology space, our friends down in Stellenbosch and Cape Town at FanCam have done a wonderful job over the last few years with their gigapixel camera. And so I encourage you to look more closely at their business and what that kind of technology allows, not just for the consumption of the sports experience when it's happening, but also the tagging and the social media amplification that happens after the fact. An interesting one you also may want to look at is the Atlanta Hawks in the NBA and their use of 3D projection facilities. So obviously they have a court, a basketball court that they are projecting onto. But a number of opportunities perhaps there with multiple screens, big screens, using fields, using different spaces and platforms in order to have a much more visually multimedia experience when you're in that stadium. Think about the opening ceremonies of World Cups and Olympics. That's becoming commonplace for almost every game. And it's part of how do we encourage fans to get off the couch and come to the stadium. I'll leave you with one challenge, and I think that's around virtual reality. We spoke about blended reality, but what we've seen with the Golden State Warriors, for example, in the NBA here in the Bay Area, is the use of virtual reality and the idea of having a virtual reality camera on the court and that you're able to then tune in via a Facebook Oculus or a Samsung Gear headset and watch the game in virtual reality. I think the technology here is at the early phase of development, and at the moment the idea of me sitting on my couch with a virtual reality headset watching a game is kind of interesting and kind of cool, but I'm missing out on both the benefits of being at the stadium but also the benefits of being on the couch with a whole bunch of other people. And so I think the opportunity for virtual reality is really for me to have a virtual experience but with other people at the same time. And so if I'm not able to be at the stadium, for example, the 400 million NBA fans in China that are not able to come out to the Oracle Arena and watch the Golden State Warriors, there's a massive opportunity to create a virtual reality experience. But what we need to do there is take advantage of socialization, of group affinity, and make sure that those fans are able to enjoy the experience with others. So 3 themes that I hope trigger a lot of conversation for you in the room this afternoon. 1 is the physical experience in the stadium. 2 is the digital experience around the fan. And 3 is the visual technology that I think is increasingly going to be put into these sport facilities, these sports stadiums. Again, I'm sorry I'm not able to be there in person to have a dialogue with you and a conversation around this, but I look forward to the conversation on Twitter. Michael M. Goldman is my name on Twitter, and so I hope to have that conversation and hope to hear about where the conversation gets to. Thanks so much.